here are 3 price targets that I have for AMP in 2025. And even though nothing I say is financial advice, some people who may be wondering, okay, when exactly this year? I'm going to get a little bit into that later on in the video. However, even besides that, my first price target for AMP is going to be 10 cents. And this is my worst case price target scenario, by the way, for AMP. And the reason why is because I think AMP is that special. After all, AMP was created by both Flexa and Consensus. Flexa is a crypto payments company, and Consensus, it's a blockchain development enterprise. Now, you may be thinking, okay, why would they even create AMP in the first place? The reason why is because the original Flexa Coin Smart contract could not be upgraded to meet the new demands that Flexa was looking for. So, of course, now we have AMP. However, there is a distinction in the sense that both Flexa and AMP, they're actually 2 separate technologies. However, even besides that point, shortly before AMP was launched, Flexa launched an app called SPEDN. And SPEDN is very amazing because it allows users to pay thousands of merchants using various cryptocurrencies and also stablecoins. Now, people may be thinking, okay, this is cool and all, but how does AMP even play a role in this? Now, let me explain, because let's say someone is making a purchase at a store using the SPEDN app, using, let's say, a random cryptocurrency, whatever the case may be. Let's say they do that. When this purchase is made at the store, of course, there's always going to be a potential that things could fail. And the reason why is because let's say this transaction is made, there could be a chain halt, there could be a hard fork, in which case, of course, the transaction could fail. Not to mention, if let's say, someone makes a purchase using a cryptocurrency, if let's say the crypto prices are going down, let's say there's a very nasty bear market or whatever the case may be, of course, that's not going to be desirable, because imagine if someone is paying a certain amount and then the merchant only gets like amount that is like less than that because the price is going down. That would of course be bad, right? It's not a good situation. And now also a very small problem with this is also that usually transactions can sometimes take quite a while. However, even besides that, that's not really a big problem. The role that AMP really plays is the fact that when this transaction is made, amount of AMP that is slightly worth more than the transaction is temporarily locked up into a special smart contract. Now, the reason why is again because it just kind of acts as an insurance policy in a sense, sort of like collateral. That's the way you take a look at it. Because again, if the transaction fails, this could quite essentially help, make the transaction go through even despite of a failure. Now, people may be thinking, okay, this is cool and all, but why does this, even benefit the AMP holders? Because they may think that there could be some bad aspects as a result of this. And let me explain what some people usually complain about. They may be thinking that, okay, let's say AMP is locked up and someone makes a transaction. Let's say it fails. Okay, the AMP gets sold, let's say. And then, of course, that creates a very bad downwards pressure when it comes to the price. People may think that. And especially if it's like thousands upon thousands per day, that could be very disastrous, let's say, in a sense, right? In a make-believe scenario. However, to my understanding, there's actually never been a situation like that, in a sense that there has actually never been a failed transaction to date, to my knowledge, right? Not to mention, even if let's say there's like 20, 30, or 40 failed transactions per day, it would be so minuscule in the grand scheme of things that it wouldn't really even affect the price of AMP by that much, or even at all, really, in a grand scheme of things. I'm not saying in a literal sense, but in the grand scope of things. However, even besides that, people may be thinking, okay, where's this AMP coming from? This AMP is coming from users who are staking their AMP through payment providers who are currently leveraging Flexa's payment protocol. So yeah, I think that should be taken into consideration. However, even besides that point, not to mention, if you take a look at SPEDN, I think it has a very bright future. I think it's only fair to assume this because, of course, moving forward, there's going to be more fans of cryptocurrencies, more people just naturally nowadays, at least which I've seen, they do want to make purchases using cryptocurrencies and also stablecoins. So I think that when it comes to SPEDN, it's heading in the right direction. And even if you take a look at the trajectory, when it comes to the amount of crypto owners, back in the peak of the 2021 bull run, there was roughly around 300 million. Now there's over 600 million according to Crypto.com research. Naturally, again, more people believe in cryptocurrencies, more holders. Naturally, also more of them, I would assume, would want to make purchases using cryptocurrencies and also stablecoins. And that right there could be, let's say, an opportunity where SPEDN does step in. So I think that when it comes to SPEDN, when it comes to Flexa, the future is very bright. And I think naturally as SPEDN does, gain more adoption, let's say it has more activity, I think it's only fair to assume that as a result of that, AMP does go along with the ride. So anyway, take a look at it. I think it's very bright. Not to mention, if you take a look at the quote-unquote market that I would assume Flexa is focused on is actually very fantastic, because if you take a look at it, for instance, right, we will see that the global crypto payment gateway market is predicted to be worth over $90 billion by 2028. So yeah, there's a lot of potential there. However, when I take a look at Flexa at its core, I think it's very fantastic. And I think it has several unique advantages over, the majority of its competition, because a lot of its competition, they usually don't do what Flexa does, in a sense that crypto payments through Flexa are automatically converted into whichever fiat the merchant wants. So this is a very unique selling point. And I think, again, that could be, one of the major factors as to why we could see Flexa do very well in the future. However, only time will tell, but I think the future is very bright. And AMP, as a worst case scenario price target for me during this bull run, or should I say in 2025, at the price of 10 cents, I don't see why not. And now with that being said, my second price target for AMP is going to be 15 cents. And the reason why is because not only with all those factors that I mentioned earlier in the video, I believe AMP could do very well. However, on the flip side again, another reason is because I don't think this is unrealistic. Keep in mind, if AMP were to go to that price, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around 12.6 billion. Let's say it's around 13 billion for simplicity's sake. Even then, it's not too much to ask for. Shiba Inu reached around 40 billion, Dogecoin reached over 80 billion at their peak, of course, back in 2021. I just don't see why AMP would have a difficult time reaching that. Again, you take a look at the trajectory for Flexa, for SPEDN, and also naturally AMP is going to go along with that ride. I really don't see why not. So yeah, I don't think this is too crazy. Now, my next and final price target for AMP is, of course, going to be 20 cents, which is my most bullish case scenario, by the way, for AMP. And people may be wondering, okay, what are the major factors that could very well allow for this to happen? Again, like I mentioned earlier on the video, there's over 600 million crypto owners, according to Crypto.com research. So that's more than ever before in history. The sheer amount of FOMO, buying pressure, and buying volume could be through the roof. Not to mention the Bitcoin ETF, the Ethereum ETF, the number of institutional investors, the amount of enterprise adoption. Not to mention, you take a look at an increasing amount of individuals who do want to make purchases at stores, let's say, using cryptocurrencies. That right there could really benefit SPEDN, and also naturally in the process elevating something like AMP. I just don't see why this won't be a big narrative during this bull run when it comes to projects much like AMP. And I do believe that, again, when I consider all of that, I don't see why 20 cents is too much to ask for. Now, people may be wondering, okay, how soon? And to answer that question, we have to take a look back in history, in my opinion, to somewhat have a reasonable expectation as when things could peak as a worst case scenario, because we do know that usually as a worst case, altcoins, they typically peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. That would actually mean around October of this year, because the last Bitcoin halving event happened back in April of 2024, last year, right? So when you think about that, that is a good benchmark to have, in my opinion. Now, it's not a guarantee. Things could happen maybe a little bit later, or a little bit sooner, maybe in another case, which would of course be awesome. However, even besides that, I think this does give a good benchmark. However, even besides that, what am I going to be doing? I'm going to be doing what I've been doing throughout this whole time, which is dollar cost averaging. Any time on income, acquiring, holding, and just waiting. Really, that's it. No fancy day trading or using leverage or swing trading when it comes to any cryptocurrency that I own. I just like to keep things simple. And again, any time on income, acquire, hold, and I just wait, because AMP at the price of 20 cents, that really wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace. Bye.